Carter Starocci forfeits twice at the Big Ten tournament and then goes and posts a farewell message implying that he's not going to wrestle for Penn State anymore. What the heck is going on?
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Carter Starocci posts a cryptic farewell message to his social media after injury defaulting twice. Wow. This is Locked On Nittany Lions. I'm your host, Zach Sako, and there's a lot to unpack here to try to translate what Carter is saying and what it all means after he does not wrestle at the Big Ten tournament. He injury defaults twice, and Cael Sanderson actually had a comment about it talking to local media in the State College, Pennsylvania area. But this is very shocking, very selfish, that I would add, and just completely unexpected when he still has the NCAA tournament to look forward to. So what is going on here with Carter saying what he said? Very simple. He posted to X, formerly known as Twitter. Looking forward to the next chapter. Thank you, Penn State, forever. Okay, so that's clearly a farewell message, and that means that what? He's not going to wrestle again. He's not going to wrestle at NCAA's. That the Big Ten tournament was his last appearance because he had to step out on the mat. He technically lost twice. Unfortunately, the winning streak's broken, historic, and I'm pretty sure he's upset about that. He's also upset at the fact that it seemed like he could have wrestled, because what other people are saying, the people that follow wrestling very closely at the collegiate level, saying that Carter was ready to go. There's no official reports from anything, like something that beat report in State College up in the Penn State area, but speculation that Carter Starocci was ready to go, that he could have wrestled. Maybe he wasn't 100%, but he felt he was 100%. That Carter's family was all there. That's apparently an indication that all of his family and friends were in College Park, Maryland to watch him wrestle, and he didn't end up wrestling. And then he got frustrated, and then that post comes from State College, Pennsylvania. So the team's over in College Park, Maryland for the Big Ten tournament, and he's posting from State College, Pennsylvania. So he went back and didn't, because this tweet on X, formerly known as Twitter, came after midnight going into Sunday, March 10th here. And it's still up at the time of this recording. This post hasn't been deleted here. But Carter Starocci just being very cryptic. And it is very selfish. That's very selfish to do. You're the number one wrestler at 174. You can get a fourth national title. Your team's still competing at the Big Ten tournament. That's for Cael Sanderson and a squad that's very disciplined. I can't imagine that they focus on anything like that. And wrestling at this point in the tournament is more of an individualized sport. Okay, the dual meets are over. Yes, there's the team standings and everything, all the points. I get that, but wrestling at this point is a little more focused on the individual than as opposed to the team. But that can be very distracting. That's a veteran. Again, wrestlers in the mat room, young and old, look up to him. The guys that are on the same level as him in terms of age, veteran experience, not on the same in terms of skill competition, but Carter Starocci is looked up to. And you post something like that after Cael Sanderson and the coaching staff do something that's in your best interest to get you a fourth national title with the chance at a fifth if you decide to come back. Here's, at the end of the day, what I think is going to happen. Carter Starocci is going to wrestle at the NCAA tournament, because this is what Cael Sanderson had to say about it. Cael said he wanted to wrestle the whole tournament, was planning on wrestling the tournament, and it is really tough for him. He's having a hard time about this. He'd wrestle if both of his legs were hurt. He's just so competitive. He's pretty upset, but there's no reason when he meets the criteria to get an at-large bid to put himself in a position to set himself back. He's not happy with me, but that's why he's Carter Starocci. I think that's very well put. Carter Starocci is fiery. He's competitive. He wants to be out there. I don't blame him for that at all. But there's still something greater at the end of the day. And I agree with completely different circumstances, but you just never know, right? You're going into the tournament with an injury. Shane Griffith picks up a leg injury too, and we don't know, what his status is going to be going forward, Michigan wrestler. at 174. That's besides the point, and that's different circumstances because he was hurt at the Big Ten tournament. But Carter, I'm pretty sure that Carter would rather win an NCAA title than a Big Ten title. Maybe the winning streak, I know for a fact the winning streak has a lot to do with this, and the fact that he just wants to go and win. And forget the winning streak aside. He just wants to go out there and wrestle because he knows and he believes he's the best, and he knows he's the best, and he is. That's the thing. So when you're the number one wrestler, focus on NCAAs because Mekhi Lewis is waiting for you. Okay, and Carter knows this. Mekhi Lewis is waiting for you and wants that revenge match after you've beaten him how many times, right? There's just more on the line at this point. The Big Ten tournament is inconsequential compared to what's going to happen in 2 weeks, and you have that extra time to prepare. It's not like this is next week. This is 2 weeks from now and on a much bigger stage out in Kansas City. And you're going to get the at-large bid, so you might not be the number one seed, but he's probably going to be somewhere. And let's not pretend that he's not the number one seed. If the NCAA did this right, if the NCAA was going to do this correctly, he would be the number one seed. But he does have 2 losses now at the injury default because he technically forfeited, right? So and there's a lot to. Let's go back to the message. Let's go back to the post saying that hey, this is it. I'm finished. Thank you, Penn State, for everything. Does that mean he's going to enter the transfer portal? Does that mean he's not coming back for a 5th title run? That's what I lean towards. Again, I already said that I think he wrestles at NCAAs, goes for a 4th national title, and then that's it. Because there seems to be this has been going on throughout the season, right? Where Carter Starocci has been mostly healthy, whether it was an illness or maybe an injury of some sort, because he's been held out of other matches where he felt like he could wrestle, and Cael Sanderson has held him out. So this is another instance of that. I wonder if there's a bit of a power struggle here that maybe we don't know too much about, but I think this could be Carter's last season. He goes for the 4th NCAA title, and then he moves on because there's international competitions, right? There's the Pan Ams, everything. He can go wrestle for the the Olympic team and focus on that. He'll still be a part of the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, but I think at this point he's just outgrown college wrestling. He's too good. He's always been too good for college wrestling. Then the 5th title would be amazing, would be incredible for him and for Penn State, but I know that's under only circumstances because of COVID, right? A 5-time national title. It's an interesting dynamic because you weren't going to naturally have that unless there wasn't the pandemic and the NCAA's response to that. So him going 4 for 4 is still nothing short of impressive and probably satisfies a lot of goals here. He'll wrestle at the 2024 NCAA tournament. I'm confident in that, and I'm pretty. Cael made the right decision. Cael made the right decision at the end of the day to protect Carter. The Big Ten title is not as big of a deal. It's important, but it's not as big of a deal as the NCAA national title, and we all know this. We do. We all know this. Carter's going to wrestle. He's going to go after a 4th national title. He's not going to do this to prove a point. Cael Sanderson made the right decision, and Carter can be upset about it. He is absolutely entitled to be upset and want to wrestle, continue the winning streak, right? Because there were historical implications with that. Forfeiting, right? The top-ranked wrestler is not going to want to forfeit to somebody he knows he can win 100 times out of 100. I understand Carter's frustration, but I also understand Cael Sanderson's decision. You have 2 more weeks to recover. The national title is much more important. Penn State is doing very well at Big Tens. At the time of this recording, there is going to be a full recap talking about everything, talking more about Carter, talking more about the Big Ten tournament and how well Penn State has done dominating the competition, and so much more with the conversations around Penn State wrestling. Penn State football goes into spring practices. So plenty of conversations to be had here on Locked On Nittany Lions. As you can see, we're back from vacation. Yes, we returned home a little bit under the weather, so I hope you were able to bear with me here on this episode. But I appreciate you checking this out. If you like these conversations about your favorite Penn State sports team, subscribe to Locked On Nittany Lions on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts for all of it. And there will be more coming up here on Locked On Nittany Lions.